No, I didn't click the wrong intro at the beginning there. Hello, everybody, and welcome along to the Scottish Football Show. I've not been on this for a while, and as Ross is on, this should be fun. I hope everybody watching as well. Please like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. This is the final week that the Scottish Football Show will be on the main YouTube channel. As of February, it will be moved over to our members' pages. And by the way, remember stuff just for the people watching. I know it's called the Rangers Rabble podcast, but there's loads and loads of different stuff over there on the members' stuff channel, I should say. There's wrestling shows, there's EPL shows, there's movie shows, there's all sorts of stuff. It's not just all Rangers related. So if you fancy keeping up with the Scottish Football Show and you haven't signed up as a member yet, then think about it. Joining us tonight, I've got Alex and, of course, the aforementioned Ross. Alex, I'll come to you first. How are you?
I am good, mate. I'm excited to hear what Ross has got to say. But I'm very good, mate. Cheers.
Ross, how are you?
Brilliant, Martin. Thank you. Yeah, my blood pressure is tremendous. I am not in any way wound up by your the free fall thing, and just a wonderful team to support Aberdeen at the moment. So I'm sure I'll be having some counselling after this, but we'll see.
I'm not sure that's ever been said in a sentence before. Wonderful team to support Aberdeen. I don't think that's ever been said.
Well, I might be being slightly sarcastic at the moment, but
well, listen, what we're going to do this week is we're going to have a Premier game. I can't think of the right word. And we'll go into good detail about it. We'll do all the nooks and crannies, and then the rest we'll talk about them, but it won't be as in depth. And of course, that game that we're going to be speaking loads and hunters and mullions about is Aberdeen 0, St Johnston 3.
St Mirren.
St Mirren, even. I'm getting ahead of myself. Aberdeen 0, St Mirren.
Any team you want, it'll be the same score.
I'm going through all the teams that Aberdeen have lost to lately.
That's right, that's it.
Ross, take it away. What's going on?
Well, I mean, I think the bit that is apart from the fact that it is an absolute free fall, right, which is the bit we all know, which is amazing, and that's now the longest winless streak we've ever had, and you can imagine we've had a few, so that's quite an amazing achievement. So there's a problem, right? The big problem is, honestly, there's no specific way you can put your finger on it and go, that's why we're losing. That's what happened. That's the turning point. There's no difference. So, I mean, I definitely question the players, right? Because I'm sorry, the intensity's gone, right? You can tell the intensity's gone. The same players who were winning are now losing. I don't care about margins and stuff, although if you start losing 3-0, that's a bigger swing of, performance level.
Especially at home.
Well, exactly, Martin. And the home form's crap, right? I mean, but, drawing away or whatever, maybe losing away. But you don't keep losing at home. And we don't score a lot of goals at home. We barely score. I think that's 4 games without a goal. So, lot of problems, right? Defence, we're going to come on to the defence. The defence is an utter shambles. Okay, one individual is going to have to be singled out, but we'll maybe come on to that. But Rubezic has got some problems because his performance level has nosedived to the point where he's wanting to come off to save probably the team because he wasn't injured. And then we've bought in a few players. So we've had a January window, got 4 players. Alfie Dorrington from Tottenham looks like a good young, potential sort of good central defender. He's had to come on for Rubezic, see what happens there. We've got Tobers has come in, Latvian captain, and he does look like a good player. I mean, again, he's not exactly coming into the best timing to come in, so we'll have to wait and see how he is, and give him a chance. And then we've got Offals has come in, which is a funny name. I don't think he's too bad to start making jokes out of his name, but he's a Danish winger that's come in from Preston. And who else have we got? Tobers and Offal. Oh yeah, and Alexander Jensen at the back. And that's a permanent. So 2 permanent signings, 2 on loan, and all of them look individually fairly decent. But is it making any difference to the team? Not yet. And honestly, I mean, this is where Jimmy Tillene has to earn his money. I hate to say it, but I think up until now he's sort of avoided any of the blame, because I think a lot of it has been some of the players. But he's going to have to do something. He's going to have to turn it around. That's the manager's job, isn't it? We've said this before, isn't it? When you talk about individual players, and then eventually it's the manager. And now, for me, it's the manager now. And I hate the formation, by the way. I hate 4-2-3-1. Doesn't work. We've got an isolated striker. We're not playing on the counter. And we're playing far too high up. We're getting caught with balls over the top. I don't think I can say much more, right? But we can't defend and we can't score goals. How about that for a football team?
Well, that's not a great place to be, Alex, if you can't defend and you can't score goals. And it's actually the perfect summary of this game, to be fair, because the goals that St Mirren got, they didn't really have to work hard for them. And Aberdeen had chances and just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net.
I mean, when you look at 2 of the 3 goals that were scored by St Mirren, 2 of them were just hoofed up the park. The first one was obviously a bit of a clanger by Rubizic, as we said. He's obviously thought Duhan was on his line and he's trying to head it to Ross Duhan, and he's absolutely no man's land. And Olasanya's just had to tap it into an empty net. But there was just, I think, when we were talking about what's happened with Aberdeen, from the start of the season to now, they were treating every game as a cup final, and they were selling at their stadium. They were winning games, not always by the most convincing margin, but they were winning. They didn't have as many injuries. Now they've had players get injured. So Mitov got injured. Sokler's been injured. Papagay was only just back for that game. So they've had a lot of injuries, a lot of players returning. But a lot of the same players are still there, as Ross said, and they're just not. The tempo's completely dropped. The head's gone. But yet they're still in 4th. Even though they've lost as many games as they had, they're still in 4th. They're still in a European spot. And as you're saying, it's now down to Jimmy Tillene to turn this around, because he's got some job to turn this around and actually start getting Aberdeen back to winning.
I mean, yeah, Ross, in terms of the first goal, it's just when your luck's down and you're in the position or the circumstances that Aberdeen are in, that's the sort of things that happen. I mean, Rubizic isn't aware of anything round about him. All he's focused on is, I want to get this ball away from me. Nods it into no man's land, and like Alex says, Olasanya's got a simple tap in.
I know, and this is the worry, because, as I say, it's not the first time he's done it. He did it in the Hibs game, completely miscued one, and it went straight past him. That was a goal. We'll come on to the next goal where he gets muscled out the ball as well. So he's, it's it's definitely not a physical thing. He had a bit of an injury he's come back from, but he's one of the ones that's something's changed. He's switched off. He's not concentrating. These are careless mistakes. He's not the only one, but I think to Alex's point, there was an intensity about the way they were playing, and they were playing for each other, and they were just on it. They were on teams, and when they went forward, they actually looked quite dangerous. But they've lost that. They've lost that shape. They've lost that energy. I mean, and that's what I mean. It can happen, but it doesn't normally happen to this extreme level. And I don't know how you get that back.
Is that a full round of games? Was that 12 or 13 games Aberdeen haven't won?
It's 13 now.
13.
Yeah. 13 with it.
I mean, what I will say is it's an excellent bit of defending by Taylor, Alex, but Aberdeen looking for a penalty for a possible handball. How that boy managed to get down into the position that he got and keep his hands away from that ball and get back up. But I struggle to get off the sofa.
He's done a spin. He's literally spun on the spot while keeping his hands completely away from the ball. I mean, how did he do that and then got up to clear it away? Just a mad bit of defending, how he got it away. But he's managed to get it away and not concede a penalty. But I think that's the situations where you needed a bit of luck. And in this game, it just wasn't going for Aberdeen. If anything, St Mirren had all the luck. They had all the opportunities, and they knew where to hit Aberdeen. Going back to Rubizic, he's a player at the start of the season, and only a couple of weeks ago we were talking about could be a good replacement for a lot of teams, but now he just looks like a player that is completely lost of all confidence. And as I was saying, wasn't injured, wanted to come off, and just doesn't look like he wants to play right now. And it'd be interesting to see if he gets dropped for Donington, if that boy's going to get a chance to start, because Rubizic doesn't look like he wants to be there right now.
Well, I mean, Olasanya made him look like a 2-year-old when they first learned to walk, Ross. Like, I mean, I know the boy's fast, but he looked like he was towing a caravan.
Well, he out-muscled him as well. You know, this is the other thing. I mean, that worries me because he's not the fastest, Rubezic. But for the second goal, you know, he's just gone past him. I mean, he's literally just kind of out-muscled him, gone past him like he wasn't there. And again, that can't be a physical thing. Rubezic is a physical, you know, but tall, you know, fairly typical centre half. So there's something wrong there. As I say, it's a concern. We've maybe been lucky in the January window that we might have done enough to cope with that, but that's not, unfortunately, that's just the worst problem we've got. But it's not the only one.
Well, see how I'm trying to keep a straight face while I'm doing this. I'm absolutely trying my best to keep a straight face. Alex just canny. I mean, if Alex was captured by terrorists, he would fold straight away.
Oh, I'd be done instantly. I'd be away. No chance. I've no poker face at all.
Fold in the witness box like a red hot Mars bar, as Frankie Boy once
But he was just so timid though, Rubezic, though, wasn't he? He tried to obviously push Olasanya off the ball, and all he's done is push him further forward to say, I can't reach you now. He's literally giving him a helping hand to get to the byline, and he's just so timid. And Olasanya's got enough time just to work it back in the middle and pick out Mandaron for a tap in.
I think at the same time, though, Alex, you've got to say fair play to Olasanya, because it's one of the ones. Rubezic is so far ahead of him when that ball first gets played that if he doesn't do a full pelt and sprint, he's not getting there. So you've got to say fair play to Olasanya because he created the goal.
Oh no, you've got to say fair play because he's literally a good 4 or 5 yards in front of him, and he's still got to get it, gets to the byline and manages to pick a nice composed pass to Mandaron, who taps it in. Mandaron had the easiest job in the world there, just putting it back in net. I think there was only one defender from Aberdeen in the box. So there's literally nobody to stop him. The goalkeeper's caught in no man's line, doesn't know whether to come and get the ball or stay in his line. So Mandaron just has to pick a spot. But I think that was Olasanya's game, to be fair, because he just ran. He ran at the defence. He knew that they were obviously going to struggle a bit, and that's all he had to do was run at them. And when he did, they collapsed. They didn't know how to deal with him, and it was evident the whole game. I think there was an opportunity in the second half. You could see he was brimming with confidence. He would try to overkick, and he kicked fresh air. So you can see that he was brimming with confidence.
But the thing is, right, that was a 4-4-2 pretty much from St Mirren. That's away from home. You got Olasanya and Mandaron up front. I mean, look, how good were they together as a partnership up front? The reason Mandaron is there, is there to. I mean, it's slightly more than a tap in as well, isn't it? Because he's quite far out when he cuts it back, sort of thing. But the point is, he's up with them. He's not. If that was Aberdeen, the potential is somebody's, beat someone on their own. They've got no one to cut it back to, and this is the problem. It's about. I'm convinced now the formation is going to be the biggest problem that we've got, because we have got good players. They can't be not good players overnight. That biscuit tin has been well and truly opened. I mean, two players over 700,000 each in the January window. That's like, that's decent. And I'll tell you, I know it's loan money as well, but I bet you, Dorrington's not bad money. Not bad. That's what I was going to say. But we're picking up his wages, right? So, I mean, he must be, and he's played a couple of times for Tottenham. So, you're talking about a decent player. So there's no excuse in terms of that. I think the players are as good as any. The squad is as good as any. We didn't have injuries with 2 injuries, most of up until the last couple of months. Yes, as Alex said, we've got a couple more injuries now, but we've got a squad that can cope with it. But honest to God, I mean, we've got to change the formation. If we keep, just chucking one guy up to do nothing on his own, we're never going to score, and we're proving it. So that for me is the biggest problem now.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Charles Dalrymple. I always struggle to say that. Who is a sponsor tier member. Alex is quickly asking, would you take Olasanya at Gers? Definitely no Mandarin, because apparently he was at Gillingham, where Charles is, and he was average at best.
I think he's a player you take at Rangers. Yeah, he's got a good pace, but he's actually got a few goals this season, is he not? Is it 11 for the season?
7 in the league, I think.
So he's obviously shown he can score, but when he comes up against strong defenders, you can see that he struggles, but not against us and not against Aberdeen, to be fair. He seems to have bags of pace. when he plays up against certain defenders.
Just watch when you're judging players against Aberdeen at the moment, you know.
Don't judge forwards against Rangers either. Don't do
Actually, he did it against us as well, but he does look a good player. But I think he'll be one of those players that if he gets injured, he'll struggle to get back in. But going back to Mandron, he's a player. He's only scored 3 times this season, and 2 of them were yesterday.
And by the way, we'll come to the third goal in a minute, because I actually think that's a better goal than what maybe people think it is, by the way. But just on half time, Ross, a lot of boos, obviously. You were saying before that it was mainly aimed at the players before. How much do you think the half-time boos were aimed at Jimmy Tilleen this time?
I don't know. I think it's changing. I mean, I do go on sort of some Aberdeen blogs and that at times, just see what people are thinking and saying. I think people are starting to ask questions, but they're not negative of him, if that makes sense. They're not sort of. It's not at a point where it's finger pointing at him, but he is now sort of, he's now getting sort of dragged into it because he is responsible, right? I don't think people want to get too negative with Jimmy Tilleen, because there's a lot, I do think he's a good manager, but the problem he's got now is everything, all the goodwill's sort of dried up, right? And now we're just in a mediocre position, right? We're struggling to keep a place in the top 6. We're struggling to know if we're going to get into Europe, which is probably the biggest thing for us this season. We'll probably get no chance of looking at lifting a trophy again. So, so he's kind of on the wire now, I would say, Martin. I think if this goes on for much longer, I think he's got. I know it sounds terrible because I can't believe I'm saying this at the moment, but I think he's got about a month. I honestly think he's only got. I mean, the next 4 fixtures. I don't think I'd really worry, because I think we've got 3 away games in the next 4. So I worry for him, but I think it'll turn if he doesn't get a win in the next month. I think people are going to sort of drag him into this negativity.
Yeah, you can only go so long, Alex. I mean, probably because of the way that football is now, the only reason that he's still in a job is because of the start to the season that he had. If it was an average start to the season, if he won half and drew a quarter and lost a quarter, and then he has this run, then I don't think there's that many Aberdeen fans that are backing him. But purely the start to the season is probably the only reason he's still in a job.
No, I definitely think that probably is the only reason he's still in that job. And I do think, as Ross is saying, it's going to be the next couple of fixtures that are going to decide that. I mean, I've just had a quick look there. They've got Hibs away, Dundee away, Kilmarnock at home, Celtic away, and then Dundee United at home. So they've not got easy fixtures coming up at all. That's the teams that are around them right now. And they're going to obviously be putting up a fight.
I know. Just think of that's 2 away games I think will struggle. And then just think about this, imagine losing to Derek McKinnon. Sorry, I mean, Kilmarnock. But imagine losing to Guinness at Pittodrie. No, it's a big one, though, I'll tell you. That will hurt, right? That will hurt. That's got a little bit of extra edge. If Kilmarnock beat us at Pittodrie and we lose those away games and Dundee United, then, I think that could be it. So something will have to change, I think.
It's just a shame in those next 4 or 5 games you don't have Rangers, because
yeah, that's right. I know that one. A nice fluke win out of nowhere. That's it. I know. Oh dear.
But I feel a bit for Tilleen, Alex, because second half, I mean, there are quite a few chances actually that Aberdeen had, but Kevin Nisbet, we were talking about it before we started. The guy was a goal scoring machine for Hibs. He's went down south. He's came back up. All right, it was a free kick. He hit the bar. It's a free kick. But then he's got a chance not long after that, 5 yards out, albeit a bit tight with the defender. But, the Kevin Nisbet 4 years ago, I mean, that's a goal.
Definitely is a goal. I think if you look at the way Aberdeen came out, they obviously came out with the intention of trying to get back in the game. It was only 2. They had the opportunity to get back in it. Nisbet has to be burying that, though. I know the free kick hits the bar and it's unlucky he's hit it, but they definitely had the opportunities to get back in that game. Palaversa also came on right before, I think it was only 2 or 3 minutes he was on for, and blazes it well over the bar. He's only like 5 or 6 yards out from goal. I mean, these are the opportunities that Aberdeen need to be taking. They're just not going to get them because, as you're saying, Ross are a quick counter-attacking team, but they're just not taking these opportunities. I mean, St Mirren weren't leaving much for them to get, but you still have to take those opportunities. If they get even that first one with Nisbet or Palaversa, it's game back on. But the fact that then St Mirren get the third, the heats drop because they know it's game over. A lot of fans start leaving, and before even the 80th minute, the stadium was pretty much empty.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say, just on that back of the chat there, comment there about the formation thing, and I said this before we come on, didn't I? This bothers me now more than anything because you know perfectly well. I mean, you guys know it with your Rangers squad, right? You've got a huge squad. I always run out of trying to remember if I want to test my memory how many players I can name at the Rangers team. You've got about 30 odd players, but the point is we've got over 20 now. We've never used to have 11, let alone 20. They're not crap players overnight. This is a team that was joint top of the league with Celtic, and was competing against everybody. So what's changed? Do you know what I mean? I know we've got a few injuries, but now and confidence is battered. But what changed? The answer is not a lot. So obviously it must have been something, but there's got to be a mentality thing. But I think the formation is another problem because to this point about Nisbet, how is any striker going to score on their own? Why is it St Mirren can play a 4-4-2 and have Mandron and Olasanya running rings round us, but we're at home and we've got Papagoy up on his own? And then eventually in the second half, he took Clarkson off to bring Nisbet on, and then it's more like a 4-4-2, but it's too late. So I am of the opinion now, if he keeps playing this 4-2-3-1, it's like playing 6 defenders, right? Shinnie and Nielsen, as good as they are holding midfielders. So it's like having a line of 6. That's why, and yet amazingly they can't defend for toffee. So that I actually think it's the formation now, and this is when Jimmy Tillene's going to start being under serious scrutiny because he's got to change something and he's got to do something radical. He can't keep tinkering.
I mean, this was a St Mirren team that, with that Aberdeen result, have still lost 4 in their last 5.
Mm-hmm. They won a poor run.
It wasn't a St Mirren team coming to Pittodrie full of confidence.
No, definitely not. But yet they still turned it around and showed that they looked like a team that was playing full of confidence, that hadn't lost 4 in the last 5, and they were just straight Aberdeen. And I think that's what happened. They were in their face for most of the game, put the pressure on, and knew Aberdeen would make mistakes. Aberdeen's biggest problem, and probably Jimmy Tillene's, is the players they're missing though. Obviously, Mitov in goal, they're missing Sockler, and I think the biggest one, probably most people wouldn't disagree, was Jamie McGrath.
That's the big one. No, that's the big one, to be honest. I think
is he controls that midfield with ease. It seems to be he's got the free reign in that midfield to do what he wants. See, when they've lost him, they've just lost that midfield. There doesn't seem to be a connection with the other players in that 3, because you usually have a 3, and it's just gone.
Well, that's the worry, right? Because the results have got worse, believe it or not. They have literally got worse, because at least we were drawn before. 3-0 at home's bad, but as you say, Alex, I mean, Mitov being out's not good, but Ross Doohan, by the way, has been good. He's actually not a bad second goalkeeper. I've been really impressed with him coming in, so I'm not too worried overall about that situation. And I think we've brought in a couple of decent, solid defenders. But yeah, Jamie McGrath is one of the best players, the most solid, consistent, good players that we've got. That now, it actually feels like we've now got another level to go in terms of struggling without him. So I'm like even more, unbelievably, I'm even more worried now. So yes, it's like there's just no good news whatsoever, honestly, at the moment, and that worries me.
I know somebody's put in the comments, since the Celtic defeat, the 6-0, it seems to have just dented all sort of confidence for Aberdeen, and I don't know why, because Aberdeen should be used to getting beat heavily off Celtic.
I've said that the past few shows as well, though. I've said that the past few shows, that since that defeat, they've just not recovered, and the confidence is gone because they were playing with such high confidence that they hadn't been beaten. Obviously, they played Celtic, was it a week before, 2 weeks before, they managed to get the draw. And then all of a sudden they get beat 6-0 in the cup, and it just dropped. Confidence dropped, heads dropped, and all momentum was just sucked out of that team, because after that game, was it 13 games without a win? So they've just completely capitulated after that 6-0 defeat.
And I have to ask Ross, the third goal, literally Route 1 football. Rangers scored a similar goal against Manchester United that way. Just a long ball went over Maguire and Dessers managed to put it in the back of the net. But this Gogic, I mean, you talk about how poor Aberdeen are defensively. This is the prime example.
Oh, it's dreadful. And I mean, I feel sorry for Tobers coming in, because I do think he's a decent defender, and he's brand new into the team, and I feel like he is the last line of defence. I'm not going to criticise him, but I tell you what, I'll speak to Ian afterwards. But so no, I think it's a ball over the top, which is this is the thing about the formation that's winding me up. How is it we are playing so high up the field, and yet actually we're struggling to get enough bodies in the box to find a man to score a goal? So we're playing high up the pitch. We're not doing an awful well. We had a lot of chances apparently. I mean, on the stats. I mean, I saw some of them, but I'll tell you, yes, we had chances. All half chances in my view. All half chances. We didn't create clear-cut chances. So that's a major problem. But right over the top, Tobers is the last man. Mandron runs onto it. It's a brilliant finish, right? Just brilliant, drills it. You can't complain about that. But honestly, I can't believe he had about a 40-yard run. I don't know, literally we were almost at the halfway line. So maybe we were pushing up. But anyway, I think tactically it's exposing some naivety now, really, about the tactics as well. And teams are coming and thinking they can pick us off. I mean, we are the weakest team. We are the poorest performing team now officially over that 13 game run in the Premier League. It is relegation form. It's not. It's like. It's kind of, it's, things that we joked about before. I always said I was glad that we were 23 points above the relegation zone. I was half joking, but see, when you're an Aberdeen fan, you always have that wee thing, and we're not that far. We're like 10 points off Kilmarnock or something. So we've got some problems, and honestly, it is. We're definitely in that sort of, what do you call it? We're in that mode now. There's the bubbles burst, and we are in panic mode for sure. The question is, can we get out of it? And I don't know.
Well, moving from Aberdeen to St Mirren, though, Alex, huge win for Stephen Robinson.
And I think they needed it, but they showed that they really wanted it. And I think Mandaron, obviously, a great finish, but they just kept going. They didn't stop, and they kept going. Obviously, I think if you're Stephen Robinson, especially for St Mirren, they're going to take that because it moves them up the table. But they've not got easy games coming up either, St Mirren. So they're going to need to start taking that form going on, and you hope that obviously Olasanya and Mandaron can keep going, because what a partnership they've got. Yes, Mandaron's not got as many goals, but he's the type of striker. He's like Jordan White for Ross County. He just huds the ball up, and that's exactly what he does. Big, powerful striker that holds it up, and he's there to just set somebody up. Olasanya's got the pace that he just has to. He knows what he's going to be running through, like the first goal. He knows he's going to latch on to anything, and that's what they do. They just pump a ball through. I mean, Gogic was a brilliant ball, and Mandaron's done really, really well to keep himself onside. But when you talk about naivety, they stopped playing. The Aberdeen backline stopped playing. They expected the flag to go up, and you're always taught to play to the whistle. They waited for the flag to go up, and it just gave Mandaron that extra yard just to get through.
I'd imagine Stephen Robinson's now thinking to himself, I hope that's something that we can build on. Mm-hmm. And St Mirren's next 3 games, St Johnston at home, Hearts at home, Hibs away, before they then travel to face Rangers at Ibrox. So, I mean, if he didn't get a result up at Aberdeen, it's not in bar St Johnston at home, which I would imagine he would be expecting he has to win. You then play Hearts and Hibs. Hearts are kind of making their way. They've got a wee resurgence going. Yep. Hibs at home now, it wouldn't be easy. So he'll be looking at that going, right, well, hopefully that pushes us on now before we have to go to Ibrox.
Well, this is it. I don't know. I wouldn't have put so much stock into the sort of psychological side of it if I hadn't seen this bizarre nervous breakdown at Aberdeen, because it's difficult to explain it. But the fact is, most teams go on a bad run, right? But see that change in terms of one or two good results and how that changes the whole team, and all of a sudden they go on a different run. I'm looking at 5 points. St Mirren are 5 points behind Aberdeen now. You know, you say that a couple of months ago, you wouldn't have got money on it. You just wouldn't have got, and that's a credit to St Mirren. Actually, they've been very competitive all season. I mean, they haven't had a lot of heavy defeats or anything, and they've been, I would say, almost as good away from home as they have at home. You know, they are a competitive team, sort of home and away. So I think they're doing very well. I mean, they're very close to top 6. They had a great season last season, and they're kind of, Stephen Robinson's got them still, very competitive, and I think they're going to have a good season this season as well.
Well, okay, that was the featured game. That's the word I was looking for. So we'll have, from now on going forward, we'll have a featured game where we spend a bit of time talking about it, and then we will cover obviously the rest of the games as well. And I mentioned St Mirren's next game is, Alex, against St Johnston. Albeit it might not be as easy as they thought. St Johnston getting a massive win over Motherwell. Do you know what? I hadn't looked at the table for a couple of weeks, and I forgot just how far back St Johnston were. This was huge.
Oh, it was definitely huge. I mean, they actually, if you look, when I was watching the game, they looked poor for a lot of the game, obviously conceding a very early penalty, which for some reason wasn't picked up by the referee, who was 5 yards in front. Didn't see the fact that it hit a good portion of Spangler's arm and it was just let it go. So I was like, right, okay. But, credit to St Johnston, dug in very, very well and managed to get 2 very late goals, but not easy goals either. Not easy at all. But you've got to say Motherwell are going to be very disappointed not come away with a win there. I
mean, is there any argument, Ross, for the Motherwell penalty not being a penalty?
No, not in my view. I mean, I always think if somebody's moved, and I know the rules, if you go through them, they actually do make sense. The problem is the referee's got a million and one things to look at, and he's not got that split second to see what you need to see, which is what, VAR's meant to be for. So this is one of the times when VAR is absolutely paid its way in terms of why we've got it. The referee's only missed it because, just the general sort of movement of the game. It is a clear handball, but only if you see it from a certain angle, and he's been able to check it. But he's lifting his arm up. This is the thing about, you don't run unless you're trying to, in the old days at school, when you tried to be too over exuberant and trying to get, one of these little medals or something. But you don't have your arms above your head. You just don't. And he lifted, and it's not both, it's one. It's clearly designed to stop. And he did it quick. See when they do it quickly, I always think that's when someone's cheating, because he goes like that, doesn't he? It was a bit of a twitch. So no, I thought it was a penalty.
And then obviously I've only seen the highlights, as I would imagine Ross and Alex both the same. But when you match the highlights up with the stats, Ross, St Johnston maybe just deserved the win.
I mean, I thought they were good value for the 3 points. I saw the highlights and watched as much of that as I could. From what I could see, it was quite a competitive first half. I thought, they didn't have a lot of clear-cut chances, but they definitely had a couple. And had to fuck, there was a couple of saves in there. But I'll tell you, see, in the second half, I thought, Nicky Clark had a good chance, just went wide. Sidibe had a chance. It wasn't as if, I would say they came onto the game. And by the second half, I would say overall, probably, worthy winners.
86 minute, Alex, and Stephen scores. If he doesn't score that, though, that's a Stonewall penalty, I know, isn't it?
Oh, Nicky Clark is absolutely taken out of the game. It's an absolute Stonewall penalty. He's just ripped in the middle of the box. We've got to say, Taylor Stephen, great wee finish, to be fair, because the ball was coming to him. He has to adjust his body and then just hit the ball in. Great wee finish. Balcom unlucky not to get to it, but if he does get to it, it's a penalty to St Johnston anyway. And you're probably thinking there's going to maybe be a booking in there as well. But great wee finish from the young lad to get onto it as well, because I'm pretty sure he's still quite young, Taylor Stevens. So good wee finish though. But you think that's going to be the end of the game there when they get the 2-1, but St Johnston just kept coming forward.
Kettlewell just looks like an angry wee man, doesn't he? See, every time it goes to him, the camera goes to him, because he's never in the touchline anymore because he's always suspended. But whenever it goes to him, he always looks raging, doesn't he? Motherwell could be winning 5-0, and you think somebody's just ran over his cat. He's just got one of these faces. And what would have made it even worse, Ross, was 2 minutes later. I really struggle to pronounce this guy's name right. So, you know that way what commentators do? When somebody tells them how to say it, you just write it as it's said, not actually how it's spelled. So, Mikulic, tap in, basically a tap in from a corner, but it's really poor defending by Motherwell.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few from corners over the Saturday, and it is in terms of, they should have cleared it better. They didn't. The ball goes up in the air. I think it was Sidibe, gives him a chance to head it back in, and again from 6 yards out, should you be able to, volley it in? No, you should be marked. So it's definitely an issue over that, but fair play to St Johnston because they kept going at them, didn't they? I mean, this is the thing about how you set yourselves up and whether you're setting yourselves up to actually win a match or not. And they kept going at Motherwell.
A draw was not a draw, albeit a lot better than getting beat. Was no use to St Johnston.
No, if you're Simo Valakari, you did not need a draw. A point does nothing for you. 3 points at least gets you a bit closer, albeit you're still 7 points away from Kilmarnock. But if you're Simo Valakari, you have to take that. You're going to take any opportunity you can get to try and gloss some points back. And it was a great win for St Johnston. But one thing I wanted to say, and I noticed that we were watching it, their pitch is so poor, isn't it?
So bad.
So bad. I was watching the highlights thinking that is just Premiership pitch. Them in Ross County.
I was going to say, there's a few in it. Ross County's was cutting up bad as well. And it's a little bit embarrassing because particularly those two grounds, they don't look like Premier Club pitches now. No. And I hope Kilmarnock's not going to start trying to point back to the plastic pitch again, because it's always get the benefit in the winter. But but seriously, I mean, this is meant to be. They've got professional groundsmen. They should be able to look after the grass in the winter. I know it's been a pretty difficult winter, right enough, but they've got to do something about that because that should be fundamental, shouldn't it?
I mean. As people will say, you're just saying that because you're a Rangers fan as well, right? But the attendance as well for St Johnston. I know you don't get to see the main stand, and the main stand might very well have been full. I don't know. But every other seat's empty. Just empty.
There wasn't even players behind the goal. Obviously, when the two goals went in for St Johnston, there wasn't a single player in that stand. And you just think, I know that you're sitting bottom of the league, but surely you can get some attendance. There was just nothing. When you watch the highlights, you can hardly hear any fans. There's really nothing in the stadium. So you think that they're obviously not getting the attendance. But the issue with that is if your team's not winning, you're not going to want to turn up and see your team just constantly get beat.
I know. But at the same time, you still want to support your team even though they're not doing well. I know. I said it. But yeah, Ross, so 7 points then. Massive win for St Johnston. It's still a huge task, but and we'll come to the Kilmarnock Hearts game in a minute, obviously, but I mean, 7 points, the way they're playing, they're going to lose more than they're going to win. It's a tough ask, isn't it?
It is. They'd have to go on a really, incredible run. I mean, they can have Jimmy Tilleen if they want. We'll swap managers and see how it goes. I would honestly do. I'll say this now, right? I would do a manager swap. I think if two clubs decide, we'll try a manager swap. I think we should bring that in just to see what would happen. But I'd like to see.
You've been watching too many of the dodgy shows, Ross.
Try anything once, Martin. Try anything once. But no, I think Simo Valakari seems to be a good manager. I mean, again, the guy needs a bit of time. He's had a couple of months, but I think he's got St Johnston well organised, making chances, playing quite well. It's just a shame that they've got a lot to do. And as you say, Martin, 7 points. The problem they've got is it's actually quite a competitive season this season. Every team's fairly competitive. We're not getting, well, they are getting a little bit stranded, but there they go. They've beaten Motherwell two games in a row in the league and the cup. So and they're the bottom team. Ross County are playing really well. Their form over the last 5 or 6 games is very good. Kilmarnock are difficult to beat. There's nobody in the league you can point at and say is really, really poor. St Johnston, unfortunately, though, is the poorest, and therefore, it's very difficult for them at this point. But as I say, maybe they've got a good manager. You never know.
Well, that, or when there was a certain midfielder, Alex, missing from Motherwell today.
Oh, I mean, we're going to talk about this certain midfielder. I don't know who you're talking about. Not a clue.
The guy that's underneath you, Alex, he's still there. Still there.
Yes. The guy directly underneath you, completely missing from the team. Obviously, I have no idea why.
Is he
not
injured,
even on
maybe?
the subject.
He's injured. No, he's injured.
Has he got an injury?
Do
you see what happens when you take the best midfielder in Scotland out your team?
I mean, he's obviously got a broken ankle, so he's not going to be kicking about for Motherwell anytime soon. But, you know, it does just show when you look at the way the midfield was working, just nothing was going through that middle. I mean, obviously, Andy Halliday scored a penalty for them, but there was no nothing working for them. And I think that's been a bright spark in Motherwell's midfield has been Lennon Miller, because he controls it. Every time he's on, he just seems to take the game by the scruff of the neck when he's playing for Motherwell, runs the show. And whenever he goes off, that's when the team concedes. So it's no shock that he's the main man for them. And he's obviously a miss today against St Johnston, who they are a poor side and have been poor, but it's a massive 3 points for St Johnston. You just look at their next couple of games, obviously in the league. They've got St Mirren, as you said, and then they've got Kilmarnock. So some very, very tough games coming up for St Johnston there.
And I mean, I hate to stick the boot in, Ross, but Motherwell, that's them lost 3 out of their last 5, 1-1, drawn 1, and they're only 4 points behind Aberdeen in 4th.
Right. Well, it's staggering, and you know, like outside of Aberdeen's capitulation, actually, now that they're back into it, the rest of, I mean, it is literally the best of the rest kind of thing. I mean, there's not going to be, and I hate to say it, but I don't think there's going to be much between 3rd and 10th probably in terms of points. I actually think it's getting tighter and tighter. Hearts and Hibs are coming back up, and if you have St Johnston kind of maybe stuck at the bottom or stranded at the bottom, I don't think there's going to be a lot between the others. And as you can see from the games, you can't predict a winner, home or away. Really, there's a lot of interesting results.
Not if you're a betting man, you're not betting on the SPFL, are you? No. That would just be an absolute mugs game. Now, game 3 abandoned. Celtic, Dundee, obviously Parkhead hit with the Storms. This is the Scottish Football Show, so there will be no jokes. Game abandoned. Right, okay, so we move on to Hearts versus Kilmarnock, Alex. You're raging, Alex?
No, mate, no, let's move on.
Hearts versus Kilmarnock. Really good game of football. But Kilmarnock struggling, man.
What a game, though. Just fully end to end. That's what you love to see. Obviously, Calvin Ramsey almost got on the score sheet very early on, but couldn't pull the trigger. Lovely wee nutmeg, and then couldn't get the goal. But Kilmarnock are just struggling right now. Hearts obviously look like a team that were going to be going down. But is it Kabanga? What a great finish that was for Kabanga. Even what a great finish for Hearts just to get them on their way. And you thought it was just going to be an afternoon where Hearts were just going to cruise it, but Kilmarnock just didn't go away.
I mean, Ross, if I read you out these stats, right, I like a stat, right? So overall possession was effectively 50-50. Shots, Kilmarnock 15, Hearts 10. Shots on target, Kilmarnock 8, Hearts 4. This is one of my favourite stats, right? Touches in the opposition box, 19 each. Goalkeeper saves, Hearts 6, Kilmarnock 1. Fouls and corners don't really matter. So when you look at that and you look at the result, Kilmarnock unfortunate.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm looking at the league there. I'm surprised Kilmarnock are second bottom because I don't see that right now. I can see obviously they're one win away from going up three spots, and this is what we mean about the tightness of the league. They're only 6 points off Motherwell, so it's back to this thing about how tight it is. But I'll tell you, Kilmarnock are a decent team. They've had 1 or 2 really bad results. They've always had that one at Ibrox, but honestly, apart from that, very competitive. Again, not losing by much. Always competitive. again, you've had a couple of results that that haven't gone their way, but at no point were they really out of that game, even though their keeper, I think it's Walton, did a Jack Butland, as I'll call it now, for one of the for one of the goals. But but honestly, if they hadn't gifted that goal, they were always just a bit in it. And you go to a place like Tynecastle now. Hearts were in very good form on the night, and you're only coming away with a 1-goal margin defeat. It's I wouldn't say that's see if you're getting beat 3 or 4, or see if you're getting beat 3-0 at home. Like some teams. There you go. I did it for you, right? That's the alarm bells. That's the alarm bells when you can't get a win for nothing. So no, I'm not overly worried. I think Kilmarnock again have got a good manager, are well organised. I'm not worried about Kilmarnock. I think Kilmarnock will be okay when it comes to the final positions. I think they're a competitive team. I think they'll get some results.
I wonder what it would be like if Derek McInnes was managing your team right now. But anyway, we won't go there.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. We can all dream, can't we? Oh.
In terms of the first goal, Alex, Cabangu getting his first league goal after scoring a couple in the cup.
I mean, it was a bit of a calamity with the shots. It was was it George Grant missed the first one, and then Wilson with the second, and if it fell to Cabangu, just tucked it away. But you thought, how many opportunities did they want to score the one goal? But it's good that he got his first league goal. He obviously looked like he needed it, but he didn't look like a striker out of place. He looked like he's been here for a while. In that game, he was just everywhere. He was constantly in the keeper's face. He was trying to get shots at target. He was chasing stuff down, trying to link up play. He just looked like a player that had been there for a while. So I think for Hearts, he's definitely going to be a massive asset going forward. And I think the Belgian international is going to be some player. I think he's actually going to do really, really well for Hearts.
I don't know how much he gets spoke about at Aberdeen, Ross. I would imagine probably just as much, if not more, than at Rangers. The talk of youth and bringing youth prospects through, for me, is massive, and it's something that I'm totally on board with and that I champion all the time. Young Bobby Wales for Kilmarnock scoring as well. So it just shows what happens when you bring through youth.
Well, it does, and look, they're not all going to make it. But to be quite honest about it, like what was the initial way that football teams were developed? It wasn't buying players for millions and millions of pounds. You developed your own. You had a youth academy. You built them through, different levels, and they got in the senior team. The buying and selling thing was almost like, a kind of secondary to developing your own core team first. So we've lost that. But you're right. Hearts have got a couple of guys coming through. I think it's young James Wilson, isn't it?
Yeah.
The likes of him. And so you've got him, Bobby Wales. So I was raving about Bobby Wales. I can't remember if it was when you were on, Alex, but it's going back a bit now. We were talking about him.
Dundee game.
That's what it was. That's it. And I'll tell you, he was very good. And he dropped out a little bit. I don't know if he had an injury or whatever, or if he's just been sort of, if Derek McInnes is just managing how much time. But again, look at his finish. It's a nice cross in from Watkins. That's a strike quality finish from Bobby Wales. I don't like to do this, but I'll just do it. But because I don't want his career to go the same way. But he reminds me, because he's got a wee bit of stockiness about him. He reminds me of another Ollie Burke. But I would like to think that
whatever happened to him.
Well, man of many clubs. He went all over Europe, and I'll tell you, now and again, flashes of utter brilliance. But could not sustain any consistency, or even maybe I don't even know how many games. He didn't even play that many games a lot, so might have been an injury thing. But if Bobby Wales keeps going the way he's going, he's another one. Hopefully, we get excited about players a bit too early, but I do think he's a good prospect.
I mean, Aberdeen. That's because you're here, Ross. Kilmarnock have got some actually really good youth prospects, like David Watson and stuff like that coming through at the football club, who I think will go on to bigger and better things. I don't know, Derek McInnes might take him to his next club, whoever that next club might be after Kilmarnock. You never know. Could it be Aberdeen again? Who knows? If we skip forward Alex, the game finishes 3-2. There's only one more goal I really want to discuss, and that's George Grant's to make it 3-1 to Hearts. How many times, even though I don't think it's a foul, I don't think many fouls on goalkeepers that are given are fouls, but how many times have we seen that given as a foul?
I mean, go back to the game against Rangers against Hibs, was given as a foul, and then we look at the game against Man United, it wasn't given as a foul. So I think it's keepers are far too protected, and I think that's the issue, that they get so much protection that any contact or any touch on a goalkeeper is deemed a foul. But George Grant's just been clever there. He's got his head on the ball before the keeper's got any sort of contact on the ball. He's not even holding the ball, so he's got no contact on it. And George Grant's managed to, because bear in mind, when the ball's in the air, he's on his arse, gets back up and managed to head it in the back of the net. And he knew that it wasn't going to be ruled out with his celebration. But I think the keeper was definitely looking for a foul. He was looking for VAR to intervene in that, because he knew that the referee wasn't. The referee had straight away pointed for the goal. But VAR, he was looking for VAR to save his graces there, and it just wasn't happening.
No. But anyway, Hearts run out 3-2 winners. Ross, bit of a resurgence from Hearts. Neil Critchley starting to maybe get his ideas across.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, look, I mean, I'd said it way, this goes back, again, Alex, you might remember, I kept saying, I could not believe Hearts and Hibs were bottom and second bottom of the league. I didn't think it was going to last. And it just, because it's just not, it didn't feel, sort of logical. Hearts definitely takes the reason of Europe taking a bit out of them, but they've got a good squad, and again, they've got some players they've bought in. I mean, we'll see what happens in terms of whether they can sustain consistency, which is their problem. But they look, there's Kabangu and McCart have both been bought in January. They both score, yesterday, look like good players. They've got a few injuries as well. They've got some young players like Wilson coming through. So I think it's looking very positive. And I knew as soon as they got out of Europe, I was kind of dreading it. I knew they would start on a run. Hibs is a bigger surprise to me, because they didn't have that reason. So, but Hibs are on a great run, very consistent now and difficult to beat. So, no, I think Hearts. So I'm not sure how consistent they will actually be though this season. I think this is still going to be probably a sort of work in progress for Neil Critchley. But I mean, I think they'll be top six. And honestly, I swear to God, I bet you they do knock Aberdeen out of the European places. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Why not? Why not?
You say that, Ross, right? But Alex, Hearts next. Let's go 3 games: away to Dundee, away to St Mirren, and at home to Rangers. Dundee away is a very, very difficult game, as both Rangers and Celtic has been shown. It's very, 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 very difficult. St Mirren with their tails up. Who knows what they're going to be like in a couple of weeks? But Paisley's no easy place to go to. And of course, then Rangers going to Tynecastle.
It's 3 very tough games, obviously, for Hearts. I mean, Dens Park's probably one of the worst places to go right now, because when they get there, they're very good at, if they get that first goal, they'll just camp in on you, and they make it very, very difficult to get a goal. And I think
it's actually easier across the road, believe it or not.
It's easier to get it working. But the issue is that Shanklin's obviously not performing as well just now, so they're having to get other players in. But they've got like obviously Penrice on the left, and he's brilliant right now for Hearts. He's firing on all cylinders. Looks like he's getting assists all over the shop, and he's just really, really good. But this is where Hearts' fortunes, either going to put them back down the table, or they're going to climb up the table rapidly, because if they get the win against Dundee, it'll be a tough game against St Mirren. They can get that. But obviously, Rangers' away form isn't the best either, so they'd fancy their chances at Tynecastle as well. So Neil Critchley will obviously know that Rangers' away form isn't the greatest, and he'll bank on that. And obviously, they know that set pieces are a good way of doing it. And the Hearts can deliver a set piece. We've seen that with Penrice and Spittle. They're very, very good at throwing a ball in, whether that be a free kick or a corner. There was a few opportunities yesterday against Kilmarnock, where Spittle had a few opportunities from set pieces and just nobody got in the end of it. So you can see that they're doing that. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Hearts come away with 6 out of 9 points in these 3 games.
What game are they losing, Alex?
I don't want to say. We're on the Scottish Football Show. I'm getting unbiased here.
Ross, just in terms of Kilmarnock's next 3, I mean, at home to Dundee United, at home to St Johnston, and away to Kilmarnock. So maybe only one tricky game in there.
You say Kilmarnock away to Kilmarnock?
Did I say Kilmarnock? I meant Aberdeen.
Kilmarnock.
Well,
I'm getting
yeah.
Aberdeen's mixed up with everybody tonight. It's Ross's fault.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, I think Kilmarnock will always fancy themselves at home. I think that bloody pitch, it's a leveler, and
But they have to get out of that second bottom position, Ross. I know it's not many points, but you don't want to be in it for too many weeks.
no. I think Kilmarnock have got enough to scrape wins at home. I mean, I'm not saying that they will, but I do think they've got enough about them to do that, particularly in the winter when that pitch, kind of plays a factor. But away from home, I mean, there's not many games away from home they're guaranteed to win. But I think if they're going to get 3 points at the moment, unfortunately, you'd want to go to Pittodrie. I mean, that is how bad it is. You would want to go to Pittodrie and get yourself 3 points. So, our only thing will be, well, no, I'm not even going to say it, because you know what? One of the worst games this season was that you've really stinged me now. See that Kilmarnock game at Rugby Park? Oh my God! I mean, that was dire. That was absolutely the worst. I mean, there's a lot to choose from, but that 4-0 at Rugby Park was horrific. So I'll tell you, if we lose, I'll say it now. The turning point, because of the way people feel, for Jimmy Tilleen will be if he can't beat Kilmarnock at Pittodrie. If Derry McInnes comes away with 3 points, that is it. That's it. That'll be it.
All on a Derek McInnes train for you, Ross, isn't it?
It's just because it reminds us of, this is not where we should be. It's the reminder thing. You know what it's like, ex-players, ex-managers, isn't it? You get them coming in, the ex-player that you thought was crap comes and scores a couple of goals against you. It's that mentality. But if Derry McInnes can come and take a much smaller squad, much less money, and come up and beat us, it's going to affect people more than any other one. So let's see what happens with that one.
Love the
optimism.
Wait.
For a minute.
There's none left. It's just honestly,
it's all gone.
We're done. We're absolutely done at the moment.
What a turnaround, by the way, because about 2-3 months ago, me and Alex would have been sitting here all depressed, and Ross is sitting there with a big cheeser and all that. A big smile, just in case anybody doesn't know what a cheeser is. Right, we've done the reaction earlier on, obviously, to Dundee United 1, Rangers 3. So, Ross, just quickly, your thoughts on the game or the highlights. I don't know if you watched the game.
Yeah, I did. So, I think it was a decent game of football. Some of these games, Dundee United sometimes play very, very cagey at home, but they didn't. They came out, and made it a much better game. They had a couple of chances early doors, Dolby scored. I think it was a reasonable to be 1-0 up, but then Diamandi scores a great equaliser. But it kind of turned after half time, I would say. I think when Rangers went 2-1 up, I thought they were going to go on and kind of get away from Dundee United. But interestingly, Dundee United came back, didn't they? So they hit the post with a header. Raskin then wanted to help out as well. That would have been some own goal, because he kind of got it quite flush, for a.
No, initially I thought it was proper, and I went, "This guy."
I thought it was proper. So they were a wee bit. I guess that was the point where you would say, okay, well, Rangers were a wee bit rattled, but now I'm sorry to say, listen, I know you guys don't always like serial dessers, and I know why. I've seen them missing, sitters and all that. But my God, I mean, his goal against Man United, and in that goal today was lovely. So there you go. I'll tell you what. This is this thing about out of nothing. Why is he suddenly playing like a top striker? Point is,
please don't ask that question.
But okay, I'll ask you guys then. So, I think it was a very good, that's a very good away win for Rangers. You get, a couple of really good goals there. I know Propers took a deflection, but 3 really good goals. You had a good game of football because Dundee United came out. That's what you want, But Rangers look good. But what Cyril Dessers, you can't. I don't know. You can't argue, is it? He got a hat trick against Fraser, bro. That was a lovely goal at Old Trafford. I mean, that's one for his scrapbook, And that was a lovely finish. So I don't know, but there you go. It's the opposite, isn't it? Because it's all of a sudden you've got this guy that's in form and the team looking fairly good.
It's like having the Kevin Nisbet 6 years ago, innit? But yeah, I have to ask you, Ross, because obviously with me and Alex being Rangers supporters, I suppose our opinion will always be skewed. However, I don't think it is in this case. Diamandi's sending off. Thoughts on that, Ross?
I actually watched this quite a few times because I was just interested in it. So right, this is my view, but the problem is I can't answer it because I can't see. Because he lashed out at Hull, right? If he connects with him, it's a red card. The thing is, I can't, and I don't care how light it is, by the way. You try and hit someone in the face, it's not like an elbow, you're trying to, or a sliding tackle. There's nothing other than trying to hit someone when you do that. So if he gets contact with Hull, it's a red card, but I couldn't see if he did.
No.
But it's interesting though, because they showed the first angle, which showed no contact, and then they showed the previous angle where it looks like there's contact and focused on that angle. So they wouldn't show the first angle that they showed, and I think that's obviously where Nick Walsh's decision's been based, because they've not even not looked at it again, but he was so quick to brandish the red card.
It's a yellow at best. It's a yellow at best for both of them. It's handbags. Listen, Ross, question here.
I'm just looking at that comment. Come on, Bob.
Not trying to take the. I love it when folks start with. I'm not trying to take the piss, right? I love it when
Bob, I'm standing up. This is me standing up.
Is Ross a short person, or is he just falling away from the camera and sliding down in his chair?
It'll be listen. It's the camera angle. It's the camera angle.
It's the camera angle, and I'm 5'2". I was
going to say I'm not. Put it like this. I would make a basketballer.
God, Alex would. How are you, Alex?
What's that?
What height are you?
6'5".
6'5".
Oh, holy hell! Oh my
God! You're taller than if Ross stood on my shoulders.
The old trench coat over it. Oh no! Oh great! Thanks very much. That's ruined my night. That's just topped it off now.
I know, because I look taller than Alex the way that these cameras look. And I'm only 5'8", 5'8" or something like that.
So I'm about the same.
Just try to get as much height as you can. Add on the half. 5'8.5".
Oh, listen! I always thought I was 5'7", and I used to say 5'7.5", and then I went to the doctor about 10 years ago and figured out that I was actually over 5'8", which I was delighted.
But you know you've got a complex about your height when you do the half, because I do the half.
You've got to. You know what the sad thing is? I'm genuinely 5'8.5". Like that's my genuine height. But rather than just say 5'8", I always add in the half. Anyway, half's count. That's all I'm saying. Men know that. Right. So, probably the most boring game of the weekend, Alex. Ross County won. Hibs won. Missed penalties. Scored penalties. Dylan Levitt scoring a nice wee goal, but overall pretty boring.
Oh, it was a proper boring game, to be fair. Great set up by Triantis to get the ball to Levitt, and Levitt just calmly puts it in. It was a great finish. But Jordan White, that's his first penalty miss of the season, and it was such a poor penalty. So timid, the keeper just had to guess the right way. He was looking to the opposite corner, runs up and just pretty much passes it into the corner, and it was just such a poor penalty in the end. But it wasn't the most exciting game of the weekend, that's for sure.
Well, I've only really got a couple of questions about this game. And Ross, firstly, any argument again with the handball for the first penalty?
No. I think again, it's whether you're sort of he wasn't really. It was Nicky Cadden, wasn't it? He wasn't running. Mm-hmm. It just looked like he stuck his hand out. It was quite low, but he stuck it out. It just looked like he stuck it out to sort of, stop it from going into someone behind him. So I thought it was a penalty. The first one, sorry. I know there's a second one.
Well, this brings me on to my next question, which is the second penalty. Foul from the goalkeeper here, Ross. I don't think that's a penalty. I think it's a dive.
Oh, I know. I wasn't sure. I've got this thing. I mean, you can see that the problem with the keeper coming out is he went with his hand to get the ball. All right. And actually, the striker has to go over his legs. to avoid him. Now, but the problem is the ball's pretty much gone at that point. So it's not like he's already knocked the ball past him. So it's not as if he's got a goal scoring opportunity. I don't know. I've seen penalties given for less, but I thought it was a bit of a 50-50, that one, to be honest. Right, you went too early there.
Oh man!
For a few extra words there, because I knew you were coming to the end, but
I think when you look at it, he's lost control of the ball. He's lost control of the ball. The ball's going out of play. The keeper's obviously came out to get it. He's like almost dinked the ball over the goalie, and then he's dived over the top of him and he's given a penalty. I don't think it's a pen. I think he's lost control of the ball. The way that he's coming in, he's not going to get a shot away at all. He's not going to get it.
No,
and there's nobody to pass the ball to either. There's two Hibs players around him. He's not going to go anywhere. So the fact that he managed to get a penalty out of it is obviously saved their graces a bit and managed to get them a goal. But I definitely don't think it's a pen.
Just before we finish up, Ross, just in terms of Hibs themselves, David Gray, Hibs deciding at the start of the season to stick by him. A lot of other teams wouldn't. He would have been out the door on his arse because he's obviously not the most experienced in terms of management, but they've stuck with him. And that's Hibs up to 6 in the table.
Hibs have probably been one of the surprise packages, haven't they, of the last couple of months, and probably one of the best upturns in performance overall. They're very solid, difficult to beat. They're getting results. Again, they've got quite a good team. It was always a bit sort of difficult to understand why they were playing so badly, and I'm not sure we'll ever know. But yeah, to be fair, David Gray was very close, wasn't he? I think he was 2 games away, maybe from the door. So, but again, this is the weird thing about football. It is, nobody. I don't think there's anyone to be a multimillionaire could explain why all of a sudden Hibs started playing so much better than they did before, but they are, and I think I'm worried about Hibs. I think they're another one that's breathing down the neck of the free falling Aberdeen, and that's why my worry is not even Europe. And I'm just worried top 6. I think Hearts will be top 6 fairly soon. Hibs are in there. It's getting tighter and tighter, if you like. So. We'll see what happens next, basically. But yes, I think we'll see. By the moment, unfortunately, Hibs are playing well.
I've seen some really weird comments in my time doing this. Right, I've been doing this just over 4 years. The rabble's been going, right, and I've seen some really, really weird comments. I've been called loads of things, right. I've been sent loads of emails calling me all sorts of things. Right, but I think Odd Bob, I have to read this out, but I'm 6'5". Me and Ross are going to hit the town wearing bowler hats. I'll be Odd Bob, he could be Odd Job. I'll reach town and Oddie's on. I've heard some comments in my life. Ross is the same height as me, right? And you're making me feel like a midget. What's going on?
Do you remember Odd Job from James Bond?
Yes, I remember.
I think that's the reference, isn't it? Well,
definitely the reference, aye.
Great, okay, great.
Was he not come wearing the hat next time?
And overweight as well. Fine, that's fine.
That's absolutely
short and overweight. Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh God. Alex, just to finish up then, and just in terms of Ross County sitting in 10th. What can we say? 1-2, drew 2, lost 1 of the last 5. It's kind of just Ross County, isn't it?
It pretty much is just Ross County at this point. They seem to have good spells where they get a couple of wins, a couple of draws, but they don't seem to actually move up the table. They kind of sit between that 7th to 10th, sometimes float with relegation, but they don't seem to get much form on the go. Yeah, they give like the big teams a go, but they never actually seem to, when it comes to the teams around them in the table, don't actually seem to light the world on fire and actually get like brilliant results. They just seem to plod along, and you don't know how Ross County can actually change their fortunes, because they've obviously got Ronan Hale, which is a bit of a bright spark for their team, but just doesn't seem to get much opportunity. Seems to be a bit of a rotation with Simon Murray, and I just don't see how he actually gets to be the main man starting, because when he starts, he looks like he's the player that's going to drag them forward, get them goals, and then all of a sudden he's not in the team for the next 2 or 3 games. Booking. He's on mute.
Oh, I nearly went through a whole stream without doing it. What's his name? Eamon Brophy. Is he still at County?
Oh, I don't know. That's an
There's a
interesting
question.
one.
There's a question for the next Scottish Football Show, but we shall leave it there, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. I realise this is a Rangers channel and this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but it actually gets quite a lot of support, and the viewing figures seem to be going up and up and up. So thank you to everybody who tunes in. Alex and Ross, thank you very much as well. Ross is away to lock his door in case Odd Bob turns up.
Drag me down the pub.
Yes. I'm sorry, I don't know what to see. He's too tall.
Honestly, I don't care. I'll go. Just if he's paying, I'll go.
I mean, don't say it. He will find out where you live. But listen, thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. Like I say, Alex and Ross, thank you very much. And I better put the right outro on because I put the wrong intro, didn't I? And we'll speak to you all very, very soon.